It's no secret that I am painfully obsessed with true crime documentaries. At the moment, I am loving the ones on Netflix, and the latest one that I watched is called The Confession Killer, which is actually a very popular story. I believe there's a film called Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which I haven't seen. If you've seen it and you think it's worth watching, let me know. But today, this is a documentary series, and there are about five, I think there are 5 episodes. And this is all about Henry Lee Lucas, who, well, he is described on IMDb as America's most prolific serial killer, admitting to hundreds of murders. But as DNA results contradict his confessions, will they expose the biggest criminal justice hoax in US history? So basically, at the very beginning, we find out that Henry Lee Lucas is about to go to jail for a murder. And just as he's about to be sentenced, he suddenly confesses to all these other murders. And the reason he did this, well, whether or not he did this for this reason, we don't know, but what happens as a result of this is that he then becomes almost part of the police force, helping them to identify which murders he had supposedly committed, and basically giving him a free pass. He's still in jail, he's still in prison, but he gets a lot more privileges. Because he's helping solve these cold cases. But of course, the whole point of the documentary is that we know he is lying. And it's how he managed to get away with lying and convincing these learned, experienced detectives that he committed all of these murders. And over the 5 or so episodes, each one's about an hour, just under, we learn, first of all, how many lies and how much of this hoax he managed to get away with. And then slowly we begin to learn how he finally didn't get away with it. And it's quite a journey. There's a lot of footage from when he was initially arrested and helping with the cases. There are a lot of interviews with people involved, interviews with the families who were affected by the murders that he was supposed to have committed. And yeah, as a documentary series, I think it works very well. If it had just been a one-off for an hour or an hour and a half, I think they probably wouldn't have had enough time to explore everything that I think they should have explored, which they did. The one problem is that I feel like there's one episode too many. The penultimate episode kind of dragged a bit. And while I can see the last episode was necessary, it took us full circle, it gave us a proper conclusion. It was necessary, but I feel like they could have cut little bits out here and there to make it one episode shorter. But I watched it all and I still enjoyed it all. Do I think Henry Lee Lucas committed any of the murders? I don't really. He might have done some of them, but by no means did he do the hundreds that he was claiming to do. He is dead. He was buried with a very simple grave, and I'd like to visit that grave. I imagine the experience would be very unusual. It's great to see the Texas Rangers. That's a lot of fun because usually detective stories are set in very populous cities with modern police forces. This was a bit more of a traditional approach, and some people in the documentary have certain things to say about that. But as a spectator, I personally enjoyed it. It's not the most gory. There are a lot of true crime documentaries that are very blood heavy and very graphic. But because these are murders that were committed a long time ago and not connected to Henry Lee Lucas, as far as we knew, you don't get to see too many crime scene photos and things. How he is found out is very interesting. I'd definitely say pay attention to that because it's a really great story. But definitely watch this. As I said, a little bit long. According to IMDb, the total length is 240 minutes, which is like 2 films. So it's not horrifically bad. I watched it over several sittings, but you will watch the first episode and immediately have to watch the other one. It's very gripping. Henry Lee Lucas towards the end became almost likeable because we get to see him in his older years, and I think by that point the bravado had gone. I think he was very remorseful. I think he regretted pretty much everything he'd done. And yeah, he will take you on an emotional roller coaster. Let me know what you think of Lucas as a person. Definitely let me know what you think of the documentary. I say it's well worth watching.